What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm going to be talking about a slightly less controversial topic than all of the things that I've mentioned in the days prior. Today we're going to be talking about something that I hope we all can agree upon, although after having said that, there will be no doubts as to the arguments that will be taking place in the comment section. Today all we're talking about is testosterone. I usually don't make these kind of videos because every swinging dick YouTuber in the bodybuilding space tries to get a fucking couple of views by making the standard "what is testosterone? What is Anavar?" video. But since some people enjoy my delivery better than others and it is effective content, I decided I would make a video going over what exactly is testosterone, why do we need it in every cycle, what is its function in females, what are the different esters, how do we get it, various things, everything you need to know basically about testosterone. Because at the end of the day, if you're into bodybuilding in any form or fashion, this is the bread and butter of everything that this drug is responsible for the vast majority of everything that you will achieve, being that it's either this drug or one of its derivatives that you're going to be using to try to achieve your bodybuilding goals. So what is testosterone? Testosterone is a steroid molecule. It is made in the body through a process called steroidogenesis, and it is made from cholesterol. So there are two active enzymes that are engaged in this process. One is 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, and the other is 17-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. These enzymes convert cholesterol into various different sex hormones, including progesterone, androstenedione, all of these, all of these different precursor hormones, until we get down the road to testosterone, which is actually a late stage in the game. I may link the steroidogenesis little flow chart in the description, but you can certainly look it up on your own if you want to get some information. In fact, after watching this video, I would highly recommend that you go to the testosterone Wikipedia page and read all of that. It's actually very enlightening information. It's far more in depth than I'm going to go into in this video, although we are going to touch on some of these things. And it's just really good information to have, because whether you're a man or a woman or somewhere fucking in between, testosterone is going to play a vital role in your physiology. Testosterone is necessary for a myriad of functions in the body that far outweigh the purposes of building muscle. It supports your entire sexual development. It supports libido. It supports heart and brain function. It is a major contributing factor in you being a healthy human being, whether that be male or female. A lot of people, myself included, consider the decline of testosterone to be one of the major contributing factors to death, honestly. If you look at the dying process that every human being goes through, that lives to long in life, whether you're a female that goes into menopause or you're a male that goes into what they're now calling andropause, where you have ever decreasing amounts of testosterone in your system, the decline of testosterone always precedes the general decline of the body, which is why a lot of people believe that testosterone is the fountain of youth, or that maintaining a proper hormone profile at least can extend your quality of life, if not your longevity as a whole. So testosterone is a great place to start, because it basically forms the building blocks of every single other androgen that we really care about. Technically, we could talk about the precursors to testosterone, which I mentioned before, are androstenedione. That has some anabolic activity. Androstenediol has some anabolic activity. You could even talk about epiandrosterone, or better known as DHEA. These are all upstream sex hormones that precede the creation of testosterone in the body. Then once we get to testosterone, we get something called 5-alpha reductase that comes along and reduces testosterone into something called dihydrotestosterone, which I believe is the most anabolic thing androgenic thing in the body. DHT is heavily responsible for the development of male characteristics during puberty, and it is the primary causal factor in masculinization in women who use any form of testosterone or its derivatives. So in later videos, when we talk about other steroid hormones, what we're going to be talking about are hormones that were either based on testosterone, they're going to be either modifications to the testosterone molecule, or they're going to be modifications to the DHT molecule. I think that's true of all of the anabolic steroids that we're going to be talking about. So testosterone is the base of it all. In fact, there is even something called testosterone base. So at this point, we'll transition into esterified testosterone. So testosterone base, if you come into contact with that, or if you hear somebody talking about they use testosterone base, what that means is that they're injecting pure testosterone. It's usually suspended in water or something. I don't know exactly what they suspend it in, but it is testosterone, pure and simply nothing but testosterone. So this is going to be effectively instantly active in the body. It's gonna pass into the bloodstream, and it's gonna immediately start imparting its effects. The reason that testosterone base is very rarely used is because the body is very good at rapidly metabolizing it and making it inactive and getting rid of it. And so part of the metabolism process, like I said, is converting testosterone into dihydrotestosterone through 5-alpha reductase, or it can be aromatized by the aromatase enzyme into estrogen. So testosterone is a finicky molecule because it is, again, not in stage. It is a precursor to other things. Testosterone can be converted to DHT, to estrogen, and it is unfortunately a substrate for sex hormone binding globulin, also known as SHBG. So the body has all kinds of ways of taking the testosterone you have and basically robbing you of its properties. It's either turning some of it into DHT, turning some of it into estrogen, some of it is binding to sex hormone binding globulin and effectively being deactivated, and whatever we have left is what's called free testosterone. So free testosterone makes up a very small percentage. I think it's like 10% or something, 20, I don't remember, 12%. It's a very small percentage of your total testosterone level. So if you're a person who's considering hormone replacement therapy, or you're a young man, anyone who goes and gets their testosterone level checked should see two different numbers. You should see total testosterone and free testosterone. Free testosterone is what you have left over to actually do work once your body has gotten done reducing it to DHT, aromatizing it to estrogen, or letting it get bound up by SHBG. So when you inject test base, you are getting pure testosterone. Since what we want is to have the testosterone molecule stay active in our system long enough for us to do something useful with it, like build muscle or support sexual function, scientists in their infinite wisdom created a way to keep the testosterone from being instantly metabolized by the body. Because in the normal state, if you're a male, your testicles are constantly making testosterone in some type of diurnal rhythm. So you're getting a pulsatile release of testosterone throughout the day, or at least a couple of times a day. And this is what keeps you functioning on a normal level. The problem with being normal or natural is that there are all kinds of things that can get in the way of your body successfully producing testosterone. If you go out for a night of drinking, if you're sleep deprived, if you're overstressed, if your cortisol levels get too high, there's just a number of factors that can negatively affect your testosterone levels. So one of the advantages to exogenous testosterone use, even in people who have perfectly normal testosterone levels, is that you will get much stabler testosterone levels because you are putting the drug in there absent of any of your body's efforts at trying to control it. And your body has a number of ways of trying to control it, which we'll get to later on in this video. So here in America, the most popular esterified version of testosterone, and just so you understand, an esterified, an ester is a fatty acid chain that is attached to the end of the testosterone molecule. So if you would like to look with me, you can look up on Wikipedia list of androgen esters, or you can simply search testosterone cypionate, also known as depo-testosterone. That would be the brand name. And you can see that it's explained that it has this carbon chain, fatty acid chain attached to the end of the steroid molecule. And what this effectively does is make the testosterone time released. So you inject what's called a bolus or a depot. You inject a blob of this oil-based testosterone into the muscle or into your subcutaneous fat, and it holds in this depot form, and then the body slowly absorbs it and breaks off the ester. It breaks off the fatty acid chain, and when it removes the fatty acid, then the testosterone is free to go into your system and do its work. And so if we're talking about testosterone cypionate, then we're talking about a drug that, according to the wiki, has an approximately 8-day half-life when injected intravenously. Intramuscularly. We definitely don't want to inject testosterone intravenously. If you should, in case you're curious, if you should inject testosterone intravenously, you will notice that two things will happen. One, you will probably cough your lungs up. Not literally, it will make you cough quite a bit because the oil in the injectable gets into your lungs, and it's an irritant. It makes it hard for the lungs to absorb oxygen through the alveoli, I believe they're called, and it makes you cough quite a bit. The other thing is, once all of it is distributed into the blood at one time, the body will rapidly metabolize it. It will lose its time released function, and you'll get this giant jolt of testosterone to the system that will probably be gone in a few hours tops. So you definitely never want to intentionally introduce testosterone, certainly not esterified testosterone, into your bloodstream. What we are looking to do is to inject it as a depot into the muscle so that the capillary action in the muscle will slowly absorb the testosterone, release the ester from the testosterone, thereby releasing the testosterone into the bloodstream where it is free to go about and do its work. Of course, understand that this work includes potentially being turned into DHT, estrogen, being bound by sex hormone binding globulin, or binding to the androgen receptor, which is what we really care about for bodybuilding purposes. So when free testosterone enters the skeletal muscle tissue and binds to an androgen receptor, that's what basically turns the receptor on and tells it to do its work through a process called gene transcription. So the testosterone molecule binds to the androgen receptor, and gene transcription takes place, and it starts its activity of, in this case, building muscle. So in the presence of the proper amount of nutrients, then excessive amounts of testosterone can lead to excessive amounts of muscle growth if you properly stimulate the muscle during the administration of the testosterone. So you want to be going to the gym, you want to be lifting in consistently what's called progressive overload, straining your muscles. damaging the muscle fibers so that the body will rush in to repair it and use the testosterone to build muscle back at a faster rate, thereby making you bigger than where you started. So this is testosterone cypionate, which is most commonly prescribed in America because it does have that long 8-day half-life, which means technically you can get away with injecting it 1 time per week. Although I would definitely not recommend that. None of this, of course, is medical advice. I'm just purely giving you my understanding of this chemistry and how I use these drugs in my body. Whether I'm injecting testosterone E or testosterone C, I always inject every 3.5 days because that gives you the flattest curve that you can get in your body. So secondarily, we have testosterone enanthate, which is more common in Europe. It is often believed that these two esters are effectively identical. If you actually look at the elimination half-life on the Wikipedia page, it tells you that the half-life of Test E, also known as testosterone enanthate, is 4 to 5 days. I do not believe that this is true. I believe that the Test C and Test E are much closer. I think one's more like 7 days and the other's 8. There are factors that at play that can alter the printed half-life, and that, unfortunately, I forget what exactly those factors are, but sometimes printed half-lives are not always true in practice. So you've got testosterone cypionate, testosterone enanthate, which are both long-acting esters. Please do not confuse long-acting and slow-acting esters. I made an entire video about this titled Busting the Steroid Ester Myth, I think. I might try to link it up here. Whether you're injecting Test E, Test C, Test P, all of these enter the bloodstream relatively rapidly, achieving peak serum concentration at about the 24-hour mark. What we are talking about when we're talking about esterified testosterone is not how fast it works, but how long it works. So in the case of Test C, it has a half-life of 8 days. I believe in the case of Test E, it is somewhat comparable, but if we're going straight off the data sheet, then we're talking about a half-life of 5 days. Half-life meaning at the 8-day mark for testosterone cypionate, you have half of what you injected still left in the body. So if you injected 200 milligrams, a week later you have approximately 100 milligrams. This half-life is reduced in a non-linear fashion, which really matters if you ever try to calculate what your total androgen load is doing, say, once a day, once every 2-day injections. That math can get confusing because the ester is not released in a linear manner. The next most popular version of testosterone that you might hear about is going to be testosterone propionate. According to the data sheet here, testosterone propionate has an intramuscular half-life elimination period of 0.8 days or approximately 20 hours. This is a point of contention. Many people argue that you only need to inject test prop every 2 to 3 days. I believe this is absolutely not true. Personally, I think that I agree with the suggested half-life. The test prop has a half-life of about 1 day. If I were to use test prop, I would not feel comfortable using it at an injection rate anything less than twice a day. Certainly, I think once a day would be minimal for test prop, although you will run into lots of people who inject it every 2 or 3 days. So testosterone propionate has a smaller fatty acid chain attached to it, which is what gives it its shorter half-life. And then finally, my least favorite, well, there's a couple more. We also have testosterone undecanoate, which is the longest acting ester, I think, currently in production. This ester has a suspected half-life of 20.9 days in tea seed oil and approximately 33.9 days in castor oil. So it is a very, very, very long acting testosterone ester, which means you can technically get away with injecting it only once a month. I think it's generally not in injectable form. I believe this is the form that they put into pellets, although I'm sure you probably can get it injectable. The final testosterone version that we're going to talk about is my least favorite of all, but it is an old school favorite for a lot of people, and this is Testosterone 250, also known as Organon. Testosterone 250 is a testosterone blend. It has 4 different esters. You get in 1 milliliter of 1 milliliter of Testosterone 250 contains 30 milligrams of test prop, 60 milligrams of testosterone phenylpropionate, 60 milligrams of testosterone I've never even said this word. 60 milligrams of testosterone iso, and 100 milligrams of testosterone decanoate. This gives you 4 different curves, 4 different half-lives for this injectable. I despise the entire idea of this injectable. The people that I know who run this injectable and have good success are people who choose to run it every single day. In my non-medical advice opinion, I cannot understand why anyone would run this ester anything less than once a day, because of the fact that you have the test prop in the mix, which only has a maximum of 1 day half-life. And so if you inject Testosterone at any other variable, you are always going to have a complete drop off of the prop in your system. So, well, it's not complete, but it's going to be less than half. And so you've got just a lot of peaks going on with Testosterone 250, and it's why I will never use that injectable. I can't imagine any reason that I ever would. So in every steroid cycle you run, testosterone is always going to be your base if you are a male. The reason for this is that the body has something called a negative feedback loop. When your body is producing testosterone naturally, it is being produced because the pituitary talks to your hypothalamus, which talks to your testes. This happens because follicular stimulating hormone causes the release of luteinizing hormone, which tells your testicles to make testosterone. The problem is that the body does not want to have too much testosterone in it. And so if you start injecting testosterone exogenously, it will turn off your pituitary gland. The pituitary will stop signaling your hypothalamus and your testes to make more testosterone. This is called being shut down. It's HPTA, hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis shutdown. When this happens, your testicles will begin to shrivel in size because they are no longer producing their function. So it causes what is called testicular atrophy. And this has a number of negative sexual side effects that you can prevent by using another drug called HCG, which stands for human chorionic gonadotropin. That is a completely different video. Rest assured that shutting down your natural production of testosterone is never something you want to do for any length of time, no matter what your idiot doctor or idiot TRT clinic may have told you. So I run HCG year round anytime I'm using exogenous testosterone. So the reason that we have to have testosterone in our cycle, no matter what hormone we are running, give or take a few, is because basically all androgens, all derivatives of testosterone and DHT will shut down your hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, and your body will stop making testosterone. So for example, if you start injecting nandrolone, it will definitively shut down your natural testosterone production, and nandrolone is not testosterone. It is a testosterone derivative. Nandrolone cannot do everything in your body that testosterone can do, and so you will have a deficiency and you will start having very real problems very fast. You will probably notice that your sex drive is destroyed and that you get ED very quickly. This is a precursor to all of the other very negative side effects that are happening in your heart, in your brain, and various other organs in your body. You do not ever want to be shut down down. You never want to run any steroid cycle ever without testosterone in the mix or something to produce testosterone. You must have testosterone in your body at all time to be fully functional. So that is the basics of the testosterone molecule, how we get it, what it does. Like I said, if you go to the Wikipedia page, you can read all about how it is a neuroactive steroid, how it binds to the GABA A or it modulates the GABA A receptor. You can look at its biosynthesis. You can look at the effects of free testosterone versus total testosterone, how it interacts with aromatase to produce estrogen, how it affects your metabolism. There is just a absolute wealth of information that anybody who is a follower of this channel or anyone who is using steroids at all, period, ever, whether you're male or female, should definitely look at this information because it goes into the functions in both men and women. Women have very low amounts of testosterone in their bodies, but it is absolutely necessary to support your body's functioning. Anybody who tells you that it is not is lying to you. When women go into menopause, their bodies more or less stop producing testosterone, certainly minuscule amounts, and this is responsible for a lot of the negative side effects that women experience. If a woman uses oral birth control, it will all but completely shut down her natural testosterone production. This is why most women on oral birth control report lack of or loss of libido. Testosterone is very important to the functioning of a female body. It is just very, very dangerous to try to use exogenously because your bodies have absolutely minuscule amounts of this in them, and any excess can lead to masculinizing side effects like the growth of facial and body hair, deepening of your voice, male pattern baldness, enlargement of the clitoris. A lot of really scary things can happen to a woman very, very quickly if she uses any amount of exogenous testosterone. That is not to say that it cannot be done safely. It absolutely can, but every woman's body is different and every woman is sensitive to testosterone in a different way. What one woman can handle with no side effects can quite literally turn another woman into a man in short order. So you want to be very, very careful, ladies. If you ever administer any amount of testosterone in your bodies, please get your blood work checked weekly, honestly, in the early going to find out where your levels are and make sure that they're not getting too far into the supraphysiological range, or you can have catastrophic side effects very rapidly, some of which are not reversible. So there's the basic overview for testosterone and its available esters. In upcoming videos, I will go into the various different modifications to the testosterone molecule and the DHT molecule and talk about all of the exciting steroids that we have in our arsenal and how they work together with one another to create all kinds of exciting effects in the body. So if you have any questions, arguments, I guess, of course, always in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.